Welcome to Ask Me Anything, featuring spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
Hi, everybody. I am spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White, and this is Ask Me Anything, and today is June 6th, 2024. How's everybody doing? And just before I even start, I want to say a big happy birthday to our announcer, Bill K. It was his birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, Bill. Wonderful guy and a wonderful musician and author and a great announcer. So I always think of him when I hear our announcement here. Well, let me say hi. Oh, and Kim Ann Snodgrass, happy birthday to you too, Jack of Diamonds. I will get you a card, honey, for your special birthday today. So hi, Sasha. Hi, Sasha. Oh, I'm going to answer that question. Sasha, that's a great question. She asked, what's the best way to navigate between the heart emotion and the stomach emotion? Well, I've got some great guests on tonight, everybody. I'm so excited. And I'll bring them on in just a few minutes because I want to do the astrology first, but we'll answer that question, Sasha. Hi, MKD. Hi, Kathy Johnson. How are you, honey? Hi, Nettie. Hi, Dee Dee. Extra strong wind in Chicago. I know. And it's extra strong here too. So it is unbelievable. Hi, Toby. Hi, Kate. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Denise. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Monique. Larry Klimas. Yay. Hi, Larry. Another incredible musician. Hi, Larry. And he says hi to Shirley and Karie, my special guests. And hi to Brenda. Hi, me. Hi, Benjamin. Hi, Trey. Hi, Ellie. Hi, Ann Margaret. Hi, Marge. Hi, Laura. Hi, Linda. I could keep going on, but I am going to start the astrology. Has everybody had a good week? Has it been a week full of surprises? We've had a lot of surprises around here on the farm. Our power went out, dodged a couple of tornadoes. Let's see, a car ran through our yard and right into the cornfield next door. I'm not kidding, which is our cornfield. And our dog went after a possum. That's right, all within a very short time span. So it's been a lot of action for somebody who lives in the middle of nowhere. It's funny how that works. So let's talk about the astrology. Oh, and the possum was not harmed. I want everybody to know. Now, actually, you know what the totem for the possum is? Because, of course, I had to look it up because my dog went after this possum, grabbed the possum, dropped the possum when I told him to drop it, and came into the house. And 10 minutes later, Dawn went out and the possum had skedaddled. So I was very happy. But possum actually means for us to have a lot of patience, that the universe is opening many doors for you. So I thought, you know what? That's pretty darn accurate because I'm the one that saw the whole thing go down. Not a good thing from a gal from LA to watch. But anyway, let's talk about the astrology that's going on right now, because I think it's really important that we understand this pretty intense time period. We are in a pattern for the next few days of a Taurus stellium. So that will have actually, as of today, we have 6 planets in Vedic astrology. I'm talking here. We have 6 planets in Taurus. Now that happens about every 1,000 years. So this is a very unique situation. It means, and Taurus is an earth sign, so it's heavily earth oriented, heavily earth loaded, this energy. And you can imagine if you're in a room, like a small room, if you think, with 6 people with very strong opinions, because Taurus is a strong, opinionated soul, frankly, and they don't really budge. So we've got 6 planets right now in Taurus. The sun, again, Vedic astrology, the sun is in Taurus. Venus is in Taurus. Jupiter is in Taurus. Mercury is in Taurus. Uranus is in Taurus. And now we have the moon as of today in Taurus. That is a lot. So when all of these planets come together, it can mean a major trigger point for something, because Taurus activates a large bundle of energy. So I'm going to tell you that until about June 12th, it should be pretty intense. And Taurus represents money, investments, relationships with family members, domestic harmony, and earth. So Earth right now, this can represent, because Uranus means sudden events, and Jupiter expands everything. So this could bring earthquakes, major weather related situations, and heavy rainfall. And I think that's what has been going on for the last few days. And I think that will continue for the next few days because of this intense time. Now, it is a time to really take stock, like energy stock, take stock of what do you want in your life? What direction do you want to go in? Because this is an excellent time. Tonight is a new moon, and that is a new beginning. And it actually looks at self-improvement. Is it time to change your office, move your office, fix your office up, fix your home up? It's actually an ideal day for, even if you're looking for a new home or to even buy anything, it's kind of ideal for that. But these are some major energies. They're heavy energies, not heavy like some of the energies we've had, but solid energy, I would say. So, and now that Aries is also, or that Mars is in Aries, that does bring us energy to do things. Now, and the other thing I want to discuss is on June 11th, we have Mars squaring Pluto. And Mars is going to be in Aries. Mars is in Aries, and which is its home. And it's going to form an exact square with Pluto. And this actually will last from about June 8th until June 13th. And this actually occurs every couple of years. But when it squares Pluto, with that stellium of energy in Taurus, this could be very intense energy, and it could have a lot to do with I don't know, danger or conflict or police or seismic eruptions, natural disasters. So we're in this period of time, actually, now that I look at it, but particularly on June 11th, that aspect is highly, could be very volatile. So anyway, I wanted just to say that to everybody. And now I'm so excited because I have two guests that they're the loves of my life. I love these women so much. And I'm actually teaching a class with them. So I really am excited to have two of the greatest healers that I personally know. And the first one, I'm going to say, hi, girls. I've got Dr. Shirley Impellizerri. If you're here, Cheryl, are you here?
I am here.
My gosh. I want to jump through the screen and give you a hug.
Me too.
Oh my God. I miss Shirley so much. I miss you so much, honey. I mean, Shirley and I started this show together, actually. Well, we started Both Sides Now together years and years ago, and we shared offices together. And
I miss you in the office so much. You have no idea. And the things that would come up would just blow my little left brain out.
We had a lot of fun. I mean, really, so fun. Yeah, there were great stories. Oh my gosh. And you're in a new office in Beverly Hills. Is that right?
I am. Yeah, our lease was up.
Yeah.
And so I decided to move back into the hood. So when I walk by the places you and I used to walk by, it just brings back so many memories.
Oh my God, we had the best lunches. We would take lunch every once in a while, once a week. I know it's so much fun. And for people that don't know Dr. Shirley, Shirley you specialize in somatic experiencing
therapy.
And also connection. But I'm just missing that one. Attachment theory.
Yeah.
And you wrote a book.
Yes.
Why Can't I Change is the name of the book.
The title is not my favorite, so I'm going to rewrite it.
Good.
I think for many people already know that your mother was my mentor.
Yeah. So people that don't know that, I met Shirley through my mother, actually, years and years and almost 30, probably more than 30 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I met your mom in 1997.
Wow. So it's been a long time. Wow, Shirley.
Time.
That's amazing. Well, let's bring on our other dear friend, Karie Gonia. Karie. Hi, Karie. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. And Karie is an extraordinary healer who you are. How do I explain what you do? Your family constellation, a practitioner in this.
Yeah. So I help people clean up ancestral trauma. And most of the ancestral trauma is the subconscious stuff, the patterns, the fears, the phobias, the clients that just keep going in circles.
Wow.
deal
Having a session with Karie is life changing. Actually,
Oh,
wouldn't
it's
you agree,
life-changing.
Shirley? Life
Oh,
changing.
it's life-changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And the reason I have my dear friends on today is we are teaching a class called Healing Family Trauma. And it's on June 22nd. It's a 4-hour online course. And I'm going to be talking about from the spiritual side of healing family trauma and bringing in spiritual tips for people and to give them things so they'll understand how to think about their family spiritually. And Shirley, what will you be talking about?
Well, I'll be talking about the human aspect of it because, as James says, we are now souls having a human experience. So it's important to understand where the trauma comes from in this lifetime and how to heal it in this lifetime too, as the humans that we are right now.
Right. And Karie,
so
tell us about what you'll be doing.
Yes, family constellation therapy blends the human and the spiritual. And so I'm going to be talking about what generational trauma really is because we're just now kind of having these conversations. And love and loyalty is at the root of the repetitive trauma that gets passed down.
Love and loyalty.
Love and loyalty.
Can you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, I'm really visual, and this might be a weird example, but how spirit explains it to me is trauma that happens and gets passed down in family systems is like a hose that's being kinked over and over again. But we unconsciously either follow people that passed early or we follow the addict because, 5 generations have been addicts, but we do it out of love and loyalty. In my work, they call it orders of love. So if everything's flowing appropriately, if everyone's filling up with that life force energy, the orders of love is going in the right direction. I've done so many constellations and I've not had one where that has been the case. And so at the root of any kind of conflict or repetitive trauma, it's love and loyalty. I love my parents. I love my grandparents. I will die if I'm kicked out of the tribe. So we are going to be talking about that, which is really exciting. And then I'm also going to be doing a group constellation for everyone.
Which is so great. If people have not experienced Karie's individual constellations, do a family, explain what a family constellation is for everybody.
Yeah, so it's actually predominantly done in big groups of people. So if you came and were looking to work on an issue and resolve that issue, you would kind of sit on the sidelines with me, and the practitioner opens up what is called a morphogenic field. And in family constellation therapy, they call it the knowing field. So the knowing field is the soul's consciousness of your entire family system from start to finish. Wow. So let's say I was constellating you, your mom and your dad, Kellee, you would sit by me and someone would stand in the field and represent your mom's energy or represent your dad's energy. I can also do what is called aspect work, which I do a lot. I could put in war trauma. I could put in Holocaust trauma. And so when the people are in the field, whether in groups or one-on-one with me, that you feel all the trauma. So you have a felt sense in the body. Sometimes you start moving around. Sometimes you get really emotional. Sometimes you can feel nothing. And that's typically if there's a lot of repression or addiction, mental illness. And then in order to clear the energy, most of the time we have to get people in their proper place. So that order of love, that flow, that life force energy can flow into them.
So when we do our class and we're going to open the morphogenic field and people will stand or sit appropriately as you guide them through the energy field.
So the cool thing that I can, with groups, especially in a workshop situation, I can kind of take the biggest dynamics that I've seen in pretty much every family system. So I feel like you kind of get a lot of bang for your buck because we can work on addiction, attachment issues, war issues. I can kind of group things together.
And loss. You'll be dealing with loss too. Loss.
Grief.
Suicide.
So I've been it's funny. I've been seeing a lot of suicide lately. I feel like it goes in waves. Every couple of years, I'll get like another kind of round of it. But yeah,
that's very true. I have a round of widows and widowers.
Yeah,
but I go through different cycles.
Yeah, me too.
Do you have that in therapy, Shirley? Do you find that you have different clients or different patients that come in with, like, all of a sudden you'll have a series of affairs or a series of betrayals?
So funny. It's true. And I almost think like sometimes, in fact, it happened yesterday. It's almost like deja vu. It's like I'm thinking, wait, I said this an hour ago. You know?
Yes. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? I believe that spirit does that totally intentionally.
Monday, I had 6 fathers who were electrical engineers. 6. Like every person what did your dad do? Oh, he was an electrical engineer, in like really similar kind of situations. So I feel like collectively we all come together.
Yeah.
I think so
Oh,
too.
absolutely. Well, I have a question for you. This is from Karie East, and actually, Karie, this is for you. And she's so excited. Shirley, she was watching our old YouTubes when you and I were doing our YouTubes together on Both Sides Now. And Karie was a guest, so she's excited. She's going to take our test. But Karie, this is her question, and I have the same question. She says, "Are ancestral trauma therapy and constellation therapy the same thing?" Because she's heard them interchangeable, and I didn't know. Are they the same, and do they have certain commonalities?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't actually know. I don't know if maybe somebody took the principles of family constellation therapy and maybe put their own spin on it. Yeah, I don't actually know the answer to that.
Oh, okay. So have you ever heard of it before?
I haven't heard of it before.
Interesting.
But it could be somebody that does a different type of energy work that maybe focuses on ancestral trauma.
I wonder.
I think we're seeing more of that pop up.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure you're right, because I think that generational trauma is now becoming in the in our words. We're used to hearing that now. I mean, I know I repeat it all the time, because as soon as I work with somebody, I can see, okay, where did this come from?
Yeah.
I need to know. And then Lori Young, who just had just got her master's in psychology. Yay, Lori. And she's also a medium. So happy for her. She says, "Karie, how long does it take to become a family constellation therapist? And are you a trainer?"
I am a trainer. I've actually been teaching a year-long course for the last 3 years. So I'm on my 3rd round.
Wow.
4th round. I've been teaching a lot the last 3 years. And so I actually studied 13, 14 years ago in New York. So my program was a year. And so I just kind of mimicked it after that. But yeah, definitely shoot me an email and I can send you the packet.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now I have a question for both of you, and this is from I feel like this is the quick question round here. Okay, contestant number 3, Kathy Johnson. She says, "Knowing and releasing religious programming from many generations before me." She says, why do the old patterns of "you're not worthy to be in this kingdom," or "you will dwell in outer darkness for all time and eternity," etc. Why does this list? And I should say, she's talking about a Mormon background. Okay, she says, "In my deepest place of knowing, I can breathe through this and I can let go. But at times I'm blindsided, and it's like a stranglehold of foreboding, like a paralyzed feeling," she says, "and guilt for stepping away from the church." And girls, she left over 40 years ago.
Wow.
How do you, from both of your perspectives?
Yeah.
For sure.
Karie, do you want to go? Yeah, I'm happy to. I mean, so she's saying that she was taught that in the Mormon.
Well, yeah, the stranglehold is that you will go to hell, basically, if you're not part of the group.
Well, I mean, that's a very common tactic that, I'll use the word cult, leaders will use.
Cult. Yes. Yeah. Let's talk about it from a cult standpoint.
And so it keeps you in, because the easiest way to control people is through fear. And many times our biggest fear, and it's an innate fear, is death. Right. And so because of that, we also, from an evolutionary standpoint, we also have a negativity bias. So we will remember everything negative, because that can save our lives. I have to remember that gray cave is the one that has the bears in it. So I don't go in it, because that's the one that killed my brother. But the fun stuff, who cares? I don't need to remember that, because it's not a lifesaver. So it's all about survival. So we already have a bias to remember the negative stuff. That's why your kid will always remember the one time you couldn't show up to the play, and every other time it's like,
I still remember when my mom didn't pick me up from the play.
There you go. So for those 2 reasons, because it's a way to control with fear and the negativity bias, then it just sticks with you.
And even if you leave 40 years ago, that Karie, from your perspective, what happens?
Yeah, I was going to echo that with Shirley, because in family systems, if you get kicked out of the tribe, you die, right? Like it's biological. And so if you have 14 generations of cellular memory of being in the Mormon church and operating under those tenets, like you'll have a felt sense in the body. Well, if I leave, like I will die. I will get kicked out of the church. I want to say and I hope this doesn't sound condescending because I'm a stranger, so proud of you for increasing your courage and walking away, because a lot of trauma in the Mormon church, I attract it a lot. And oftentimes, if you can just turn around and face them and witness that this is your choice, and it might have been a great choice for you, and I have my own life, my own fate, and I'm going to go in this direction. And oftentimes I find it turns the dial down around the sting, if you will.
And Karie, would the family constellation in our class help her?
Yeah, definitely. And I can add that in. I always typically add religion in because it's so complicated and it's such a like cellular kind of hardwired thing in family systems. So yeah, I'll absolutely add that.
And then from a spiritual standpoint, from my belief is, why would we choose that family? I mean, I think that she's the one that comes in to break her everything up, and break the antiquated system up. I mean, she'd have to be a very highly advanced soul to come in to do that. Yeah. She is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thank you guys for that. Well, I have a question, Shirley, for you. I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to go ahead?
Also to add to the reasons why it's so stuck is because you're also told that when you're little.
Yeah.
And the brain forms between 0 and 6, and the things that you're around between that time, the environment you're around, gets kind of almost imprinted.
Or so hardwired. Does it get hardwired?
Yeah. So that's another reason why.
You are that's so true. I forget about that, but you're right.
And Kellee, that's that love and loyalty piece. Like, I'm following the program. I'm a good little girl. Like, it's the love and loyalty piece. So, yeah.
Wow. And so you would betray them by leaving. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You would be the betrayer in their eyes.
Yeah, it's so interesting, Karie, that you say that, because from an attachment perspective, it's one of the scariest things to break that attachment connection, even if it's the psychological attachment connection. Yeah. It feels like death.
Yeah.
Wow. Earth is such a hard school, isn't it? God.
I feel like Shirley making faces. We're like, double thumbs down. Double thumbs.
Shirley, I have a question for you, and this is from Luann. Okay. And Luann says, Dr. Shirley, she's a huge fan of yours, and she says, how do you stop negative thoughts from circling?
Well, it's about interrupting the loop. We can't stop negative thoughts forever. And it depends on our childhood experiences and all that stuff as to how much, if we run with anxiety. So initially it's about interrupting the loop. And that every time you interrupt the loop, even if you go right back to the negative thought, that interruption starts to stimulate other parts of the brain. And that is how we start to rewire the brain. And yeah,
so it can be rewired.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. But it's interrupting that loop. Even if you go right back to it, we have a tendency to think that, well, I interrupted and I went right back, so it didn't work. But the interruption is the key. Not that you go right back. You will, because it's been years of that programming, and it's very important to very consciously and purposefully bring in and remind yourself of the positive things or the things that you enjoy in life. Because that, again, because of the negativity bias, doesn't come naturally. Right. So there's this wonderful book, The Buddha Brain, Dr. Rick Hansen, who wrote and teaches you how to do that. When we want to change something, we have to be very conscious and very purposeful, of bringing the opposite.
And that's called The Buddha Brain.
The Buddha Brain is the book that he wrote. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Shirley, for that. This is a funny question. This is from Kim Ann Snodgrass. Happy birthday, Kim. She says, Dr. Shirley, what did you think when Kellee said to you, I'm moving to a farm in Wisconsin?
Well, once I came out of the shock state.
It's true. It's true. Once we both burst out crying.
Exactly. Oh, it was so sad. I mean, of course, I love you so much and I want the best for you. But I knew it was going to be, I went through the grieving process.
Oh, so did I.
Yeah. And it's, we are resilient beings. It's one of the one of the, I'll say, many positive things of being human. We are resilient, and we as long as we don't suppress the emotions, which of course I do have a tendency to do,
Well,
we
and
can
part
get
of that
through
was
it.
to survival too, Shirley.
Yeah.
And then what happened is you came to visit me, and right
Yeah.
after
Oh,
you left, COVID hit.
yes.
So the original plan was I was going to go back every month, and be with you and with Karie and have my family. But that's not what happened. Then the world had to, there were different plans in place.
Plan, but I have to tell you, it was the best New Year's I have ever had in my entire life, hands down. It
We'll
was
do
so,
it again
Kellee,
once the house is remodeled, and we'll do it again, Cheryl. And Karie will come out, and
Yes.
it'll be so much fun.
Oh my God, it'll be so fun.
You guys were texting me the pictures. It was so cute.
Oh my God, it was so fun.
Oh my
Kellee
God.
has an incredible way. Kellee and Don both have an incredible way of making you feel so welcomed and so at home and so inclusive. It was just amazing.
Oh my God. Well, we loved having you. And Karie, we're looking forward to having you too.
Oh
So
my God, it'd be so
here's
fun.
a question from Lisa Jamuzian. She says, when we heal our inner child wounds, are we able to heal our lineage, past and future? Could you speak to generational trauma?
Yeah, I think so much of generational trauma is not suppressing, is not, it's funny, today I had very similar sessions, and there was this one ancestor that kept saying their family system was like a pot that was boiling over and everybody just kept sticking the lid on the pot. And I was like, man, that really summarizes just generationally how everyone just pushed down pain, pushed down grief, pushed down, I was 18 and I went to war and I came back and my mind was gone, or whatever those examples are. So I find I like to do this thing, and I can do it, I'll do it in the group Constellation, where I bring in the little kid and kind of witness everything that they went through, and then witness all of the strengths and all of the gifts, and then like welcome them back home. Because most of the time in my work, we abandon them too. We don't want to deal with it because it's the hardest part of our story. And so I think that is a huge component of healing, not only yourself, but everyone going backwards, and then preventing trauma.
And then from going forward.
Yeah.
Wow. That was interesting. So Tammy Jackson says, how do you help those that are struggling during these intense energies right now? And those that are triggered easily, those that are overwhelmed and angry. So that's a great question. How do you work with people that all of a sudden are triggered easily?
I think somatically, don't you, Shirley?
Let's talk about somatic. Let's talk about that.
For everything.
Yeah. Well, I think it's first understanding that you're being triggered, and understanding what your triggers are, and being curious about them instead of, curiosity is the antidote to judgment and criticism. And then, as you said, Karie, taking it to the body, just sitting with that trigger. What does it feel like? I remember when I used to get triggered, it would feel like a volcano erupting in my stomach. And so to really just observe that sensation and wait until it passes. All sensations and emotions pass. They always will. Problem is, if they're so big, we get so scared that at the top of the, of the tsunami of emotions or sensations, we want to bring it down. And that's what addiction is all about too. But if we wait long enough, we can feel that passing. And that's such an important thing for the nervous system to be able to feel.
To regulate.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's important and with triggers, it's so important to look at them with curiosity instead of getting upset at yourself or getting triggered. There's always a valid reason for everything that we feel.
Then that brings me to a question about personality disorders. So when a personality disorder has so much rage and you never know when they're going off, what is your take on that from a generational point, Karie, and from a somatic point? Shirley.
Karie, you want to go first?
I'll let you go first, because I think probably.
I mean, isn't it like, to me, the way I view it is like generations of trauma coming forth, and somebody is the one that's going to express it. Like you said, like that pot that's bubbling over.
Yeah. Well, there's certainly a genetic component to personality disorders. However, in the study of epigenetics, we know that it really all depends on the nurturing and the attunement and the love you got at home as a little kid. And that decides if a gene is expressed or if it stays dormant. So there is a genetic component to it. But it's an inability to regulate your emotions. I mean, that's what the rage is all about. And, if we're talking about people with borderline personality disorder, the rage is when you feel that someone has hurt you, has abandoned you. Their big wound is abandonment. So anything can feel like abandonment depending on where you fall on the continuum. And so it's like you feel that abandonment and you react. So I've worked with people who have that, where we go somatic, notice and they got to the point where they were able to notice when they were getting triggered, and they were able to take a moment and not react. And in that moment of noticing gives you enough time to take a step back and choose your response instead of just reacting.
Wow, that's amazing, Shirley. Here's a question from Wanda Mann. Well, it's not a question, it's a statement. She says, "You three together could give me a life makeover." Actually, that's our goal here. She says, "But I'm not sure I'm brave enough to ever face the truth of the real me." So how do you want to address when somebody doesn't want to face whatever their truth is? I mean, does that go to self-worth?
You know what's funny? I watched a video this morning of a famous actor, and he was in a room of like 20 autistic boys. And this one boy wanted to ask him a question, and his anxiety just took over. And so everyone was like, "It's okay, take your time." But the actor just held such beautiful space for him. And it took a second, it took about 90 seconds. And then one of his little buddies that was sitting next to him said, "Increase your courage." And it touched me so deeply. And all day I've been thinking about it. And I was like, I know that message is for someone, because sometimes we think we can't do the scary thing, the hard thing. That's actually what I love about FCT the most. I always tell people, if you have the courage to come do family constellation therapy, it'll change your life probably faster than what you're expecting. But I think just increasing your courage and taking that first step.
Good answer there. That's really lovely. I'm glad you saw that. So here's a question from Emily Bordelon. She says, "I have 3 children. All 3 have changed genders." That's a lot. They are all beautiful and successful, and my husband and I have a relationship with all of them. But what makes one want to change gender?
I mean, that's a complicated question. From a neurobiological standpoint, it could be that there were different hormones that were, influenced and that were there when the brain was forming in that area. It's a very difficult question to answer. And I don't think there's just one answer, but there is a very real biological piece to it.
Wow. My thought on it is that, and I've spoken about this before, that I think they're very highly advanced souls that come on to Earth to change up the damn system, that we're really just souls, because on the other side, do we take a male or a female position if we want? But often I've worked with some guides that I don't know if male, female doesn't even make sense. Do you know, does that happen with you, Karie?
Yeah, because it's just energy. And so from an ancestral perspective, I agree with you, Kellee. That was my thought too. I'm like, oh, they're just the little pattern breakers that are
pattern breakers.
They're not afraid of their soul. They're not afraid of healing that programming.
Right. Good. That's what I believe too.
It takes so much strength and courage, the people that are critical of it. I mean, do you think anyone would want to have to face their own family, society, and all the negative things that come from that just because they want to? I mean, it is truly, truly a struggle. It's not an easy decision to make. And so they'd have to be, warriors.
And have to be warriors.
Strength
Totally. Kate D has a question. Dr. Shirley, are there any suggested somatic exercises to reduce anxiety and the mindset of constantly waiting for the shoe to drop, resulting from PTSD?
Wow. Well, first of all, I think going to therapy with someone who's trained in trauma and PTSD to help with that. But as just a tool to have, grounding is a really important tool. And that means you're putting yourself in the here and now. And in the here and now, there's safety. You're not in that, the traumatic experience. So noticing your feet on the ground. If you're sitting down, noticing the back of your legs on the chair. noticing the back against, the chair or the sofa. Notice if the temperature, is it hot? Is it cold? Notice if it's soft surface or a hard surface. Notice how the chair holds you in that sitting position. Notice the sounds around you. So basically you're grounding yourself in the 5 senses, in the here and now, and that will reduce your anxiety. And again, like everything else, that doesn't mean that in the next moment your anxiety might shoot up. But again, you're interrupting that loop. There's some wonderful, if you look up grounding exercises on YouTube, there are some people that kind of guide you through that. And that
Shirley, when we teach our class, will you be giving certain tips about grounding?
Absolutely. I'll be giving tools
For that.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Now, here's a question from Amy Wilson. She says, my family members have suffered from heart failure. I think their hearts are broken from childhood. Do you think that is possible? What are your thoughts on heart failure?
I think absolutely, because I see the patterns, and most of the time it's like if a great grandfather died. This happened yesterday. It was like a great grandfather died at 53 of heart failure. Then the grandpa died at 53 of heart failure. Then the dad died at 53 of heart failure. So again, until there's consciousness around, okay, are we suffering in this way out of love and loyalty? How can we shift it? And they've done studies. Surely, haven't they done studies like biologically that, after someone dies, it's like, my grandma had a massive heart attack after my grandpa died, like massive, like the next week after being married for 60 years.
So there is a broken heart syndrome.
Yeah, I think there's broken heart syndrome. Yeah.
But that can go from childhood on.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think in my work.
Yeah, definitely in your work. And they have there is research out there that you can die of a broken heart.
Wow, you guys, that's amazing. Okay, so I have another question for you. So let's see. Okay, this is an interesting one from Christy Henley. What's the best way to go about to let go of one's feelings when others feel they were unfairly left out of a will and I wasn't? I worked very hard for my quadriplegic brother for years helping him, and they only did visit once a year. I can't seem to let go of it. They are family and I want to be part of their lives. But apparently she was cut out because of the others were left out of a will. I mean, for me, whenever I see a family in a situation like this, it almost feels normal to me. What say you guys?
I unfortunately see this a lot. So
right?
The time in my work, because I'm looking at a very specific thing, there's some money trauma in the generation before. So like a stolen business, a stolen home, bankruptcy, something like that. War trauma, that's really common in the Holocaust, of stealing everything and everybody having to start over. So I would start kind of scanning and see if it's a repetitive pattern.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
I've never seen it be just like a one-off. So
isn't that so? Everything has a pattern
in my work. Yeah, everything.
So interesting here. Laura Young says, Dr. Shirley, what are your thoughts on EMDR?
I think it's a really effective tool, to use to help reduce trauma. And it was described to me recently in this very kind of easy to understand. So we hold on to trauma, they say, like in the right brain, and the emotions and that kind of thing. And so EMDR is basically bilateral stimulation. So when you're talking about a trauma and how it affected you, then you either follow somebody's finger, past the midline, or there's, tones that you can hear, or you tap, right? And so it kind of allows that memory, that trauma, to go from right brain to left brain, right brain to left brain. And that allows for integration of the trauma. So then it becomes something that happened to you in the past, but you don't, because it's integrated, you don't have a visceral reaction to it when you talk about it. Yeah, it's very effective. You have to be very careful in using it. In some areas, you have to go to a practitioner that's trained in it, but it is a very effective tool.
Wow. Good. Thank you, Shirley. Judy Legacy says, does everyone have generational trauma, like from a large family? Would some members have it, or would the whole family have generational trauma? Great question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think everyone is touched by it in some way. You know, I have seen historically the pattern breakers have a bit more because they're the ones that are coming to kind of clean up the bulk of it. So I think I'd ask you that, Kellee. I feel like there are soul contracts with, I mean, I definitely have one. You know what I mean? I come from a family system that is so loving and so kind, but I'm really the only one that dove in. And now people are like rippled out. So I think to varying degrees, everyone carries something.
Oh, I think if we're here on the planet at this exact time, we have lots of things to blow through, because this lifetime will actually give all of us 7 times more energy to deal with all of our things. And it's more than just 7 times more energy. It's 7 times the advancement with, so we wanted to be here during this time so we could go through our family shit and really work on it and work on ourselves. It's a very, very important time here, very important time on Earth to be here to work through your stuff. So be brave.
Increase
you can do it. Increase courage. I love that.
Oh, it was so.
I love that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. Jody W says, a lot of deep wounds seem to be active for me, looking into my shadows and hoping for deep healing. But right now I'm in it and it's a struggle. What tips or tricks do you have for someone who wants to feel and release the pain, heal, but needs some relief from the grief as well? This is tough stuff. It is, Jody. It's very tough stuff.
Yeah. It's very, very tough. I mean, sometimes it can feel counterintuitive, but when we go in it, it can help release. And that's part of what somatic experiencing therapy does, where you notice the sensations of the body that it brings. So if there's a tightness, in the chest, you observe that tightness and you just stay with it. I mean, this happened in a few sessions today where all of a sudden this image popped in to this person's mind when we were just tuning into the sensation, and the image was able to, came up with what a fear was for her. Another time a random memory shows up that ties everything together. So going into it, even though it feels counterintuitive, allows it to start to dissipate, or allows you to start to understand what it's there. Staying with something and feeling kind of stuck in it isn't helpful. That's very different.
Yeah. So actually that she's taking action right now is very important. I mean, first of all, bravo. Nobody said it was going to be easy on Earth. Nobody, when we signed up here. And when we get here, it is intense, and these energies are intense, but it's perfectly designed for everybody to work on their things that they need to work on, for whether it's for you, whether it's for your future generations, whether it's for the generations behind you. Bravo. And it's not always going to be that way. If you really work through things, it's not always going to be that way. Right, Karie?
That's what I was going to say. I always tease Shirley that I'm like, WWSD. What would Shirley do?
Yeah, what would Shirley do?
It helps me to remember, like, okay, if I'm having a big emotion, or if I'm drowning in grief of the last couple of years, it's like, I'm not going to get stuck in that place. And I feel like it allows me to go into it so then I can move through it. So you're not going to stay stuck there, even with the family stuff.
Even when the toughest of stuff, you don't. It's so true. This is a good question. I don't know if I'm going to say the name right, but Jesus Ita Marquise. She says, why is addiction prevalent in some families?
Yeah, because there is attachment trauma. There's, most of the time, people have died young. People have died in war. There's like big T trauma. And what happens in my work is, those generations weren't equipped to actually deal with those emotions. And so nobody talked about anything. Nobody witnessed that a brother went off to war and died, or a baby died in childbirth. And so everyone starts coping in their own ways. And most of the time I've seen addiction be habitual. So 2, 3, 4 generations. And in my work, it typically will present in the same way.
Interesting. Wow.
Meaning a similar addiction.
Yeah, similar addiction, or similar like acting out patterns or similar ages. I see that a lot. I always tell people, I'm like, start checking ages. It's like the people with the heart diseases, like at 53, it just kept repeating until somebody noticed the pattern and was like, oh wait, we don't want to.
Well, and when you kept saying 53, I thought it was really interesting because in the work I do, I look at numbers all day. It's really how I determine where everybody is. And 53, what happens at the next stage after that is 54, 55, 56. And that's where life changes. And I think it's very fascinating when somebody opts out at 53, right before the next big change.
And
I always find that fascinating. Yeah, 43 is the same thing. Like, oh, I wonder why they chose not to go to the next change. Or right before Saturn return, 28, 29, 30. I'll do the same thing, you know. It's kind of fascinating to me.
That's very interesting.
We all use different lenses. I mean, and that's why I think this class is going to be so fun and interesting, and you'll learn so much and you'll get so much healing because I bring a completely different lens than Karie, and you bring a different lens than Shirley, and the three of us together, it creates magic.
And
it's
sorry, just one.
No, go ahead, Kim. Go ahead.
I was thinking of like the group constellation because people are just now kind of learning about family constellation therapy or experiencing family constellation therapy. One of the things that I love the most, especially with addiction, is you kind of get to stand in their shoes. If grandpa lost a child and then couldn't deal with that grief and then became a raging alcoholic, like you could go step into the knowing field and feel all of that and like actually witness that. And then it just changes everything. So yeah, I think this workshop is going to be really phenomenal for the group work too.
Well, and for the group work with let's say all kinds of abuse, so sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, addiction, money, family with money issues, betrayal. I guess what are the big top ones? I mean, those are some of the big ones.
Let's not forget neglect.
Oh, neglect. Oh, Shirley, could you speak on neglect, Shirley, for a minute?
Yeah.
Talk about neglect.
Addiction the most, that type.
Pardon me?
I see neglect with addiction the most in family systems.
Yeah. Well,
like early attachment trauma.
Yeah. Well, because with neglect, a baby knows it exists because of the mirroring that the caregiver gives them. Baby's being looked at. And so the baby, of course, it's not conscious, but the feeling is, oh, I must exist. With neglect, there's no one there. So you start to feel it's this deep kind of lack of deserving that you exist, that you exist. There's this huge existence piece,
And then the vital life force sinks. And then is that when early depression would start in?
It suppresses the life force energy because life force is about existence. And if no one mirrored your existence and you're not supposed to exist, or there's a huge, then I was told once by one of my teachers that neglect can sometimes have worse psychological results than the other abuses, because while of course they're terrible, physical abuse, sexual abuse, and so on, they're relational. I have to exist if someone is doing this to me, but with neglect, I don't exist.
Oh.
So there's a lot of shame of having any needs, because if you have a need, that means you exist, so it's just it's a lot.
And then
from it.
Thank you for that. And then Karie, in the constellation, will you put shame? Will you put blame?
Yeah.
Will you put forgiveness for what you have gone through? The soul has gone through.
It's funny, I get a lot of feedback. I don't think that a lot of practitioners work the way that I do, but
I don't think any of them do.
I just don't want people to need a ton of sessions. And I've been at this for decades, like on my healing journey.
She's the best, everybody.
I like to get them in and out with love. Like I don't want people to need 30 sessions. And so I have a tendency to do that each constellation, whether they tell me they have that or not, because it's just so ingrained in every family system. And that's the part with the inner kid that's always my favorite, is like giving them the permission to just let go of that and like come home and just be sparkly and wonderful. So yeah, I will add that in.
Wow. Shirley, Adeline March says, can we heal from neglect?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a process, of course, like any other kind of abuse, but you can absolutely heal from neglect. It's healing those wounds of neglect, and being able to feel the connection isn't so scary, because connection can be terrifying. Yeah.
Regina Joyce Clark. Hi, Regina. She says, so since we choose our family before we incarnate, do we plan the ancestral trauma also? And I'm going to answer this as a big yes. Yes, resounding yes. And you think, why in the fuck would I choose that family? Why would I choose this? It makes no sense on earth to say that even. But on the other side, it makes all the sense in the world, because your soul is advancing, and your soul comes in to break up a pattern, to change it, to change everything. Because we all have, if we're here, we have a contract with Earth, if we're here right now. And the contract would be with this family and this person and this person. I'm going to do the best I can in this, given this situation, to help break up the old pattern, the old trajectory of things, and hopefully to advance the whole civilization, frankly.
Yeah. I felt so vindicated when the research came out around epigenetics, because when I was little, I got a lot of just like the platitudes, like it's in your DNA. And I remember being like a little kid and was like, yeah, no, it's not. Yeah. Like, it's not. And then epigenetics, I was like, see, it's not. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's nurture. Yeah, it's that whole, old time question, nurture versus nature. Yeah. It's nurture.
Yeah.
Nature has a little part to it, but it's nurture.
Wow. Well, I'm going to take one more question before we, kind of wrap this up. This is from Christine Salisbury. She says, what can I do to break my worries of the family? I am realizing I am not being told about situations by my family, so I don't worry. But then this causes disconnect of what's going on. Is this best for me? She said, I know that James said I need to let go of the worry so I don't produce the cloud of worry over them. What is the best way for me to be the most productive, and what should I be working on? Yourself, Christine, yourself.
Yeah. And I would look, Christine, like, where are you out of order? Are you like the youngest and acting as the older one? Are you a parentified child? Because most of the time in my work, you're out of order. So it's almost like you're worrying about somebody like you're a parent if you're the kid. So I would just see where those sneaky patterns are showing up.
Oh, what a great idea.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. What order are you, Karie? What number are you?
I'm the youngest.
Mm-hmm. So out of how many?
So I'm the youngest of two full siblings. Okay. So my sister's 18 months older than I am. And then my dad got remarried, and I have a half brother who is 16 years younger.
So you're kind of the youngest and the middle.
Yeah, I'm kind of the youngest in the middle.
And Shirley, I know you are also the youngest.
Yeah.
Okay. And I am the oldest.
The oldest. Yeah.
In family order, I talk about that in my book because I think it's really important, actually. Okay, Tammy Jackson, when we heal ourselves, we heal the family and the world. Yes.
Yeah.
It's true. It's a ripple effect.
It's a ripple effect. Oh my gosh. Well, I could talk to you guys forever. I mean, it's always so much fun to have you on. And Vicki Nesson. Hi, Vicki. She says, I cannot wait for the healing class. I love my friend Kellee. I love Dr. Shirley. Karie, you are a bright light of sunshine.
Hi, Vicki.
Thank you.
Hey, Vicki. And I want to give a card before I forget. I want to give a card to Vicki from her beloved husband who did pass away. And this is perfect. I watch over you every day. There you go, Vicki. I know, isn't that amazing? Spirit works the most amazing ways. Wow. And I want to give a card to Kim Ann Snodgrass for her birthday today. Heather Skillington says, thank you. I look forward to the class. And Kim, this is a card for you. You are able to recognize traits in common with another in order to forge love-based connections. So happy birthday to you, my friend.
Wow.
And if you guys can join us on June 22nd, that would be fantastic. It's a 4-hour seminar. It starts at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And also, if you're not able to participate live, if you purchase it before the class, we will send it to you probably within 2 to 3 days at the longest, and you will receive it. But it will not be for sale after the cutoff time. But I think we're going to be enjoying we're going to have so much to talk about, in this class. And I'll be giving spiritual tips. I'll be talking about why we choose our families on the other side, what the process is like why would I choose this? And well, how do I exit fast? And, we're talking about all of that. And Shirley, you'll be giving all kinds of tools, practical tools, and talking about the neurobiology and all about trauma and those wounds.
Yeah.
And Karie, you'll be doing the family constellation and talking all about generational trauma.
Yes. Definitely. If you are able to join us, we would love it. And drink water before. It's best to do FCT hydrated. And
that's really true, right? Because of the energy that comes through.
Yeah.
And I've had 3 sessions with you. Yeah. And each one is as powerful. They're so powerful. Plus, we've taught this class. This is our 3rd class that we're teaching. Kate D says, thanks. I registered for the class. Yay, Kate. You guys you'll love it. You are going to love it.
Yeah. Shout out to Kate D. She increased her courage and rocked the biggest milestone. And I am so proud of her.
Oh my gosh. That's great.
Wonderful.
That is wonderful.
So I'm proud of you, Kate.
Oh gosh, me too. I mean, this is going to be amazing. So everybody look forward to let me just tell you too, on Monday, on our show, Life After Death and Beyond with James Van Prague and me, we are going to be talking about, James and I are just going to be doing the show without a guest, and we're going to be highlighting psychic summer predictions. And we've got some unbelievable ones come for you Monday. So please join us. I think you'll all be surprised.
Yeah, love that.
Wonderful.
So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Dr. Shirley. Thanks, Karie. I'm so glad, and I'll see everybody Monday night. And if you can, join us for our class, Healing Family Trauma. Bye, everybody.
See you there.
You've been listening to Ask Me Anything, featuring spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.